So what is mission, and how do you know when it's missing? In the previous segment of this talk, I characterised mission as the energy and desire that propel growth. In this segment, I will search for greater definition of mission in order to give you some diagnostic tools that allow you to identify when your enterprise is suffering from a lack of mission. The earliest uses of the term mission I found were in the context of formal religion. Today, the term is more widely coined, but I want to explore its history by way of illustration. By the end of this, I will have returned us to a secular definition, but the detour into the religious roots of mission will educate your thoughts. One dictionary definition of mission talks of the vocation or calling of a religious organisation to go out into the world and spread its faith. If your enterprise is not religious, the reference to religion may seem inappropriate, especially if you do not practice a religion yourself. But before we rush to remove the term, can I suggest that religious energy is most certainly at work in the world today, and it can teach us something powerful for our secular enterprise. For example, something powerful is drawing young Muslims to fight in foreign lands. The zealous levels of motivation disturb many of us. We are quite literally terrorised. But we cannot escape the fact that something or someone is instilling a strong sense of mission in these young people. We may perceive that the mission abuses the people it attracts, but you cannot deny that there is strong energy at work. There is missionary activity going on to attract new followers to the radical Islamist agenda, which gains followers prepared to make considerable personal sacrifice in the name of the cause. For any human enterprise to succeed, good or evil, there has to be some driving motivation. The loftier the goals and the tougher the environment, the greater the motivation required. People willing to die for a cause are the most extreme example, but something similar happens in your everyday world. When you get home tired from work, you may wonder where your motivation comes from, but it does because you're back in work the next day. Try this idea. The daily commitments parents make to raise children may seem trivial compared to the impact of suicide bombers, but the pattern of commitment goes on for years as the children grow. Doing the right thing day after day, year after year, demonstrates a strong underlying sense of mission. Perhaps a sustained commitment over many years shows a stronger mission than the sudden and shocking self-destruction of a person whose self-esteem has collapsed. And in the end, as someone smarter than me said, all it takes for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. So I suggest to you that the absence of missionary zeal in good causes is potentially as scary as missionary zeal applied to bad causes. As a leader in any enterprise, you have to build that motivation in the people working in your enterprise. There are ways you can do that, but if your own motivation fails, in time the motivation of your team will also fail. So at the heart of mission is something that makes you and the people around you want to succeed in your shared enterprise. That motivation may differ between individuals, but for an enterprise to succeed, you better all be pulling in the same direction. If your enterprise is charitable or military, at the outset there probably is a strong sense of shared mission. In business, that sense of common cause may not be so obvious. I don't suppose any young person grows up hoping to save the world by being the best gas station attendant. But the attendant defines the customer experience, so if I own the petrol station, I want to energise my employees out of their lonely late shift torpor. I hope we can agree that life would be better if everyone in your enterprise had a yes we can attitude, a drive to excel in what you do, and the desire to spread the word about that excellence. That sounds like missionary zeal. Your enterprise doesn't have to be religious to benefit from some of the missionary zeal of this kind. So, having made a plea for missionary zeal and using the example of religious missionaries as a tool to help characterise this, let's go back to our definition and drop the reference to religion out. So now it reads, the vocational calling of an organisation to go out into the world and spread its faith. I'm still not sure you're going to accept spread its faith. I'd like to convince you that your enterprise is only worth doing if you have faith in the value of the products and services you provide. Surely if you don't believe in them, why should anyone else? So personally, I have no issue with the term faith, but I suspect the term may scare some of you away. So let's make one final change. The vocation or calling of an organisation to go out into the world and make things happen. Mission is what gets things done. The organisation structures, process definitions and procedural manuals that large corporations develop so much time preparing don't matter a jot if nobody can be bothered to try and make stuff happen. Our simple definition seems to encapsulate this. How does the definition we've concocted here compare with some other attempts to define mission? On Wikipedia, I found two worth sharing with you. One said, mission is the purpose of a company, organisation or person, its reason for existing. I love the reference to reason for existing. It is an acid test to ask ourselves whether the world would care if our enterprise didn't exist. What's missing in this for me is that the existential reason must be compelling enough to generate some activity. I also found a second example which I like because it's clearly aspirational. Mission provides the framework or context within which the company's strategies are formulated. It's like a goal for what the company wants to do for the world. What the company wants to do for the world, that's good. But I think our definition betters these in one respect. Our definition speaks to converting aspiration into action. If mission is what energises the enterprise, then the energy must be converted into work to be meaningful. So let's recap. What have we learned from trying to define mission? First, mission expresses itself in a desire to change something. What in today's world do you want to change, and in what direction do you want to change it? That could be a grandiose desire, the reduction of global poverty, but it's equally valid to feel passionately about much smaller challenges. If your enterprise tries to give local commuters a better breakfast, that's a mission I would get excited by. Large or small, you need to explain your mission in terms of what needs changing. Second, the mission should galvanise people to work in common cause. The mission is the thing that focuses everyone's competitive instincts outwards, not inwards. It should get them all working for each other, not against each other. Third, if missionary zeal is energy, it's of little value unless it's put to work. The mission has to include a commitment to act. If statements of mission don't convert into actions, the zeal isn't real. So whilst our definition of mission has not yet yielded up any easily quantified KPIs, it does provide some reliable indicators of when mission is defective. When your enterprise isn't performing as well as you want, one possible cause is inadequate mission. You can test for this using the 3 points we just discussed. Is there any inability to explain what the enterprise exists to change? Do people put the mission ahead of personal differences? And do the enterprise's actions walk the talk for your customers or clients? If your enterprise employs many people, there are techniques for measuring this mission congruence using employee surveys, customer satisfaction surveys, field failure analysis, and many other tools. You may need to do this kind of formal research in order to demonstrate the problem to stakeholders. There are consultants out there to help with this if you need it. But initially, I would suggest you start in more engaging ways. Like the king who creeps out of the palace dressed as a pauper, try to get back to the coalface and take a dispassionate view of what's happening. See whether the people at the coalface share your understanding of the mission. Do they work as if engaged in a shared enterprise? And do they really walk the talk for you of your mission when dealing with the customers or clients? If you can't be dispassionate or you can't be anonymous, get someone trustworthy to do it for you. But bear in mind that your direct reports may have an interest in cleansing the report. Use someone with no vested interest. If what you find from this night walking is uncomfortable, you may be losing your shared sense of mission across the enterprise. In the next segment of my exploration of mission, I will look at how missionary zeal is lost and how you might address these failure scenarios to stop it bleeding. In the subsequent segment, I will suggest ways to rebuild your mission.